which is Introduction to Data Science. Now, what exactly is data science? Now, data science in simple terms is the process of deriving useful insights from data in order to solve real world problems or in order to grow a business. Now, data science was introduced because we are generating an immeasurable amount of data. For example, there's a fact that we're generating more than 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day. And at this pace, it's only going to grow because right now everything runs on data. So the idea behind data science is to take up all this data and derive useful insights or derive knowledgeable insights from this data so that you can grow your business or you can solve a problem. That's what data science is all about. The data is the key in data science. And since we are producing so much data, is the perfect time for you to learn data science. And data science basically covers artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing. All of these processes are covered under data science. So that is one of the reasons why data science has become so popular. Because of the amount of data we're generating, we need methods and technologies that can handle so much data and they can, derive something useful from the data. So that's a small introduction to data science. And if you guys want to learn more about data science, I'll leave a couple of links in the description box. Now let's move ahead to our topic of discussion. First, we'll understand why we need SQL for data science. So like I said, data science is basically all about deriving useful insights from data. Data science involves extracting, processing, and analyzing tons and tons of data. At present, what we need are tools that can be used to store and manage this vast amount of data. Now, this is where SQL comes in. SQL can be used to store, it can be used to access and extract massive amounts of data in order to carry out the whole data science process more smoothly. So SQL as a querying language, it can be used to perform a lot of querying operations, a lot of search operations, extractions, and editing and modifying your data. So we need a huge management system. And along with that, we need a language that can perform all the operations that we want to do on our data. That's where SQL comes in. Right now, let's move on and understand what exactly SQL is. Now, SQL, first of all, stands for Structured Query Language, which is a querying language aimed to manage relational databases. But what exactly is a relational database? Guys, I'm just going to go through the basics here because I'm assuming that you have a good idea about SQL, because this is a more advanced topic, which is SQL for data science specifically. And so I'll just brush up a couple of things about SQL, the basic commands, and a few other topics, and then we'll move on to our interesting demo session. So what exactly is a relational database? Now, a relational database is a group of well-defined tables from which data can be accessed or it can be edited and updated. You don't have to alter the database tables. Now, that's an important point about a relational database. Now, SQL is the standard API for relational databases. So SQL programming can be used to perform multiple actions on data, such as querying, inserting, updating, deleting, extracting, and so on. So basically, it can be used to manipulate and analyze all your data in such a way that you derive something useful from data. Examples of relational database that use SQL include MySQL database, Oracle, and so on. So guys, if you want to go in depth on SQL and if you're new to SQL, then I'll leave a couple of links in the description box and you can go through those. Like I said, that this tutorial is mainly for SQL for data science, and I will not be covering SQL because that is out of the scope of this session. So like I said, we'll be using MySQL today, and let's understand why I've chosen MySQL. Now, first of all, MySQL is very easy to use. You have to get only the basic knowledge of SQL, right? You can build and interact with MySQL with just a few simple SQL statements, right? And SQL statements are quite easy, like they're a lot like your English language. I feel like it's the most basic and the most understandable language there is, querying language. Apart from this, it is also very secure. Actually, MySQL consists of, you can say, a solid data security layer, which will protect all of your sensitive data or your confidential data from any intruders. Passwords are encrypted in MySQL. So that's a good advantage of using MySQL. Apart from that, of course, it's open source, so it's free to download and to use. You can just go to the official website and download it in a matter of minutes. Then, of course, it is scalable as well. right? It can handle almost any amount of data, right? It supports large databases up to as much as 50 million rows or more, right? That's the amount of data that you can store in MySQL. And the default size limit is about 4 GB, if I'm not wrong. And you can also increase this number to a theoretical limit of around 8 TB of data. I think you'll have to pay a little bit of money for that, but I feel like 4 GB is a lot, first of all, to have a data set of that size. Then another important point is that MySQL follows a client server architecture. So this is where you basically have your database server, which is your MySQL, and you have many applications and programs as your clients, right? And these communicate with the server. This is where they query data, they save changes, they update the data, and all of that. Not only this, MySQL is compatible on many operating systems. It is easy to run on a lot of operating systems such as Windows, Linux, Unix, and so on. Now, MySQL actually provides a functionality that the clients can run on the same computer as the server, or they can even run on another computer. So basically, communication via a local network or the internet. Another important point is that there are quite a number of APIs and libraries for the development of MySQL applications. So basically, it has support for multiple programming interfaces, right? So client programming, you can use languages like C, C++, Java, Perl, PHP, Python, and so on. Right? All these languages are easily compatible. They provide APIs so that you can integrate and you can perform or you can build applications using these languages. And since Python is one of the best languages for data science, MySQL is perfect for data analysis, storing data, and querying data. You can easily work with MySQL and Python to build applications and query data and all of that. Right? Apart from that, it is also customizable, like I said, and it's also platform independent. Right? It's not only your client applications that can run under a variety of operating systems, but MySQL itself can be executed under a number of operating systems. The most important ones are your Mac operating systems, Linux, Microsoft Windows, and so on. Apart from that, we also have speed, right? MySQL is considered a very fast database program. And this speed is actually being backed up by a large number of benchmark tests. And apart from that, it's highly productive because it uses triggers, it uses stored procedures and views. And this basically allows the developer to give a higher productivity. So these are a few reasons why you should go with MySQL, right? I feel it's one of the most easiest to use and it's one of the most compatible databases that are there. Now let's move on and discuss a couple of basics about MySQL. So we'll discuss the data types which come under MySQL. We have numeric, we have character string, we have bit string, boolean, date and time, and timestamp and interval. Right? Under numeric, it includes integers of various sizes. There is a floating point of various precisions and formatted numbers. Under character strings, these data types either have a fixed or they have a varying number of characters. Now, this data type also has a variable length string, which is called character large object, which is used to specify columns that have large text values. So it supports large text values as well. Apart from that, there is bit string. Now, these data types are either of a fixed length or varying length of bits. Now, there is also a variable length bit string data type, which is called binary large object. Now, this is available to specify columns that have very large binary values, such as, maybe images and so on. Then we have the Boolean data type. Now, this data type, as the name suggests itself, it has true or false values. And since SQL has null values, a three valued logic is used, which is unknown. That's the third value. Then we have date and time. So the date and time is like any other date variable. The date data type has components like hour, minute, and second. Now, obviously, these formats can be changed based on your requirement. Next, we have the timestamp and interval data type. So the timestamp data type includes a minimum of 6 positions for decimal fractions of seconds and an optional with time zone qualifier in addition to your date and time fields. Right, so the interval data type will basically mention a relative value that can later be used to increment or decrement an absolute value of time or date or any of that sort, or basically a timestamp. Right, so you can increment or decrement any absolute value using the interval data type. So guys, this was a little bit information about the different data types that are there. Now let's discuss a little bit of basics of SQL. Like I said, I'm just going to brush up a couple of topics because I'm hoping that you all have a good understanding of the querying language. So let's just brush up a little bit. So first of all, we have the first command, which is create database. Now, this is a very general purpose command, right? It basically creates a new database for you. So the syntax is just create database and the name of your database. Then once you create it, in order to initialize and use it, you just use the command use and the name of the database that you created. And remember that at the end of each command, you have a terminator, which is a semicolon. And also your commands are usually written in capital letters so that you can differentiate your commands from your table columns or table names and all of that. So it's a good practice if you write all your commands in capital letters. Next, we have create table. Now, tables are the most important part of a database, right? So create table is a simple command that will create a new table for you, and it can contain a lot of data variables of different data types, right? So the syntax is simple. The command is create table, the name of the table you want to create, and then within the table, whatever variables you want, you can mention the name of the variables with their respective data types. Like for example, if your variable is age, then your data type will be an integer or something like that. Similarly, you can add another variable like name, and you can have the data type as a character. So it's as simple as that. It's very understandable, the language. And then let's talk about insert into. Now, this command is used to insert new data into your table. Now, usually what happens is when people insert values into the table, they forget the data type that they've defined under that particular variable. So remember that the values that are inserted must align with the defined data types. So for example, if your variable is age, and instead of putting your numerical 3, you've put your character 3. Basically, you've typed out THREE. Right? That's not going to work because you already defined your age variable as integer. So you'll get an error there. So make sure that the values that you're inserting into your variable are of the same data type as you've defined your variable as. Okay, so make sure that happens. Now, these are very simple things, guys. I'm sure you guys are aware of this. Now, let's look at our next command, which is select. So this is one of the most important commands when it comes to SQL for data science. And because mainly it's all about extracting useful insights and extracting particular type of data from your database. Right? We'll see how often we'll use this command when we perform our demo today. This is one of the most simplest, and in fact, it's one of the most important commands in SQL. Okay. So basically select will select a specified table or a column, and it'll extract the values from it. Okay, so select star from and table name is your syntax. Now we'll be using this in the demo, so don't worry if you do not know exactly what this does. Just remember that your select command is for extracting data from your table. Next, we have the update command. So update will basically allow you to modify any values that are stored in your table. And the where clause here will select the variable or value that you want to change. So it's basically it'll highlight the variable or the value, or it'll try to identify the value that you want to change. Next, we have the delete command. Now delete will basically delete data from your data set or from your table, as the name itself suggests. So delete from the name of your table and where with a condition. It's as simple as that. Next, we have a drop table. So this command is basically used to delete a table and all the rows in the table. So your table will get deleted from your database. That's what happens with drop table. These were a couple of commands that I thought you should brush up on. I'm sure you guys are already aware of these commands. But in case there are a few of you who don't know much about SQL, I'll leave a couple of links in the description box. You can go through those videos and then maybe come back to this if you're specifically looking for SQL for data science. Now let's get started with our demo, which is quite interesting. So guys, for this demo, I'll be using the MySQL workbench. So it's quite easy to install. It'll just take like 15 to 20 minutes. I'll leave a link in the description box. We have a short video wherein we're showing you how to install the whole workbench. So once you've installed MySQL, we'll start by creating a database and we'll import a data set into our workbench. So I'm going to import a existing data set, right? I'm doing this because we are doing a more advanced tutorial. This is not about creating tables and extracting values from tables. Instead, this is about deriving useful insight from your data. So usually for data science, you don't have to sit down and create tables and do those basic commands. Instead, you have to explore the data variables. So usually there's a humongous data set that needs to be explored and analyzed in order to derive something useful from it. Right, so that's what we're going to do today. So I've already imported a CSV file. Let me show you what the file looks like. Right, so this is our CSV file, and this basically contains details about employees. So basically the name of the employee, title is the job title of the employee, department is the department that the employee is working in. Then we have the annual salary, we have the hiring date, we have the start date in the present position, we have the salary, and we have the employment category, whether you're full-time employee or whether you're part-time employee. So our data set has around 32,000 observations, right? So this is a very huge data set, and I basically downloaded from the internet. You can find a lot of data sets on the internet, and you can perform all of the data analysis in no time. So if you don't know how to import a data set in your MySQL workbench, then I'll quickly show you how it's done. So I've already created a database here. Now creating a database is as simple as this, right? You just have to do create database and name of the database. Let's say tutorial. And then if you want to use it, you just use the command use tutorial. Right? So basically tutorial database gets activated. Now all you have to do to run is you have to use this, right? Use tutorial. So we've basically activated our database. Now for this tutorial, I've already created a database. So I'm going to use that database itself. Name of my database is students. Right? So let's activate this database. Right. Now in this, I have a couple of tables, and we are going to be focusing on this table, employee details. So this is the table that I imported. So guys, for those of you who don't know how to import a CSV file into your MySQL workbench, all you have to do is go to tables, right click on any table, and go to table data import wizard. Right, click on this and browse for your CSV file. Okay, just to take an example, I'll consider this CSV file. I'm not going to import the CSV file that we're going to be using right now because that is a very, very huge CSV file, and it'll take a lot of time for me to import that CSV file into the workbench. To save up on some time, I'll import a small CSV file and I'll show you all. Right, so I'm selecting this file, students marks. Let's open it, right, and go to next. After that, create a new table. Now, basically what you're doing here is you're going to create a new table that corresponds to all the columns that are there in your CSV file. Either you can create a table on your own and click on use existing table, or you can allow MySQL Workbench itself to create a new table for you. That's what I'm going to do because obviously it's simpler. Then click on next. So this is basically all the fields that are there in my CSV file. It'll collect all the fields in my CSV file and it'll create a table out of it, right? This is my CSV file. Basically, it has name, gender, date of birth, math, physics, chemistry, and all of that. These are just records of students and their marks. Then if I click on next and next again, yeah, data gets imported. Next, 5 records are imported. Click on finish and refresh. Here you'll see student marks. So this was the CSV file that I just imported into MySQL Workbench. So guys, that's how you import a CSV file as a table into your MySQL Workbench. So if you want to see this table, right, the CSV file that we imported as a table, all you have to do is select star from and the name of the table. It is student underscore marks. So let's just run this. So here you can basically see the entire CSV file that we imported into a table. So guys, that's how simple it is to import a CSV file into your MySQL Workbench in order to perform data analysis. So now let's clear this up. So for this demo, like I said, we'll be using employee details dataset. This is a very huge data set, and let's just get started. I've already imported the data set here as a table, right? If you take a look at this employee details, so these are the columns in my table. We have name of the employee, title is the job title of the employee, department is the department he works in, salary, annual salary, then we have hiring date, start date, salary basics, and we have employment category. All right, so let's start by performing some sort of data analysis. So first, what we'll do is let's just view the entire table that we have. For that, all you have to do is select star from the name of the table. Employee details is the name of the table in my case. So I'll just run this command, right? So this is the entire table that just got loaded, right? So this will just extract your entire table for you. Since I did select star from and name of the table, so my entire table is extracted here, right? If you take a look at this, the whole table is being extracted here, right? Now let's do something a little more complex. Now let's write a query to find the salaries of all the employees. For that, what you have to do is select again. Now name of the column that has the salary. Okay, in our case, it is salary annual, right? So let's write that down. Salary annual, right? From the name of your table, employee details. Okay, so let's run this. So this query basically just gave me the salary column in my table, right? Salary annual. This is the salary of all the employees that are there, right? It's as simple as that. Now let's write a query to display the unique designations for the employees. Basically, unique job roles will display. So for that, again, we have select because we're extracting. Then we have a keyword called distinct. Since we are trying to display the unique designations, it'll just take the designations that are unique. It won't take your repetitive designations. For example, there might be 10 employees who are working as data analysts. So we'll just consider that as one. So we're just extracting the unique designations for the employees. That's why we have the word distinct here. Next, our job title is in the variable title. So that's why I've written title here. And then we have from and the name of your table, right? Let's run this command. So here you can see that there are different job titles in our data set. We have sergeant, we have police officer, we have chief contractor, expeditor, we have civil engineer, concrete laborer, we have traffic controller, pool motor. This is police officer and this is police officer assigned as detective. Wow, that's interesting. Right, so basically this query gave us the unique job roles that are there in our data set. Now let's try something else. Let's write a query to display the unique departments with their jobs. So let's extract that. So select again, since we're trying the unique, we are going to use the distinct keyword and we are going to extract the unique departments and the job titles and from the name of the table. So let's run this code. Now, under police department, we have different job titles. That's why this is repeated here. Right? We have police officer, then there is fleet and facility management, under which we have a chief contractor as expeditor. Under water management department, we have a civil engineer and so on. Right? So, guys, this query was pretty simple. It just gave us the distinct departments according to their job titles. Now let's perform another query. We'll write a query to list the employees who are working in a particular department. Let's say the fire department. Again, since we're extracting, we'll use the keyword select. After that, select star from and the name of your table where. So this is where the where clause comes. Right? We're trying to identify a particular department. So we'll put where department in the name of the department that we're looking for. Let's say fire department. That sounds interesting. So let's run this. All right. So here you can see that we've just got employee details of all the employees that are there in the fire department. These are their salaries, these are the dates that they were hired on, and apart from that, this is the employment category, full-time, part-time. Salary basis is whether you're getting paid hourly or whether you're getting paid on a daily basis. So these are the details of all the employees that are working in the fire department. If you see that here, it's entirely fire department. So that was also quite simple. So this is how SQL is. The language is very, very simple because it's pretty understandable. Like you can read the statement and you can understand what exactly I'm trying to extract or what exactly I'm trying to do. Next, let's try to do something interesting. Let's say that we want to write a query to list the employees who do not belong to a particular department. Let's say that we're trying to list out the employee details of employees which are not in the police department. So for that, it's quite similar to our previous query. So you'll write select star from name of your table again, where department not in. That's the only difference. Okay, not in, and the name of the department that you want to exclude. So this time, let's say police department. So we want only details of employees that are not there in the police department. So let's run this. So all the departments here will have everything apart from your police department. Okay, so we have fire, we have water management, we have law, we have streets and sand, we have finance department, we have fleet and facility management and all of that. So basically we excluded our police department and printed out the details of all the employees which are in every other department apart from the police. All right, so now let's write a query to list the employees who joined before a particular date. So for that, again, we'll start from select star from name of your table, right? And we'll add the where clause. And here we'll mention our original hiring date, since that's the name of the variable that has the hire dates in it. Let's keep it less than a particular date. Okay, let's choose 1st of January 2000. Let's run this code. And so when you run this code, you'll find all the employees that were hired before 2000. So if you see original hire date, all of this is before 2000. Some of them were in 1994, 1996, 1984, and 1987. So there are only 4 employees who were hired before the year 2000, basically before the 1st of January 2000. Now let's try another query. Let's write a query that will display the average salaries of all the employees who work at a particular department. Okay, let's choose the surgeon department. So basically, we're going to display the average salaries of all the employees who are working as surgeons. So for that, again, it starts from select. Since we have to calculate the average salaries, we'll use a function called average, which is a predefined function in SQL. And average of which column? It is a salary column. Salary annual. And let's mention the name of the table from employee detail. Some error. Let's write down the whole statement and then we'll see what the error is. This, and we're going to select the job title as a sergeant. So basically the average salary of a sergeant. Let's run this first and we'll find out what the error is. Okay, there is no error. I have no idea why I'm getting this. So the average salary is around 1,06,000 and change, right, for a sergeant. So now let's try another query. What we can do is we'll write a query to display the details of a particular employee. Some name we'll select at random. Okay, so select star from name of your table, employee details, where name is equal to, let's look for a particular name, Ahmad Syed. Okay, so this is the name of the employee. Let's paste that name over here. right? Hopefully this should give us an output. Let's run this. So now we have the details of this particular employee, who's Ahmad Syed, his title, job title, his department, his salary, all the details about him. So we just printed all the details about a particular employee. Now let's try something else. Let's write a query to list the employees whose salary is, let's say, more than 3,000 after giving a 25% increment to their salary. Now let's do a little bit of math. So we list down employees whose salary is more than 3,000 after giving them a 25% increment. So let's write down a query for that. So again, start off with select star from the name of your table, where here we'll specify the condition. Basically, after giving them a 25% increment, 1.25 into the salary. So salary annual, and after giving them a 25% increment, their salary should be at least 3,000. All right, so this is exactly what we're doing here. Let's run this code and let's see if we're getting anything. So here are the employees whose salary is more than $3,000 after giving them a 25% raise. So basically these guys are promoted. This is a list of all the employees. So that's quite simple, guys. It's basic math implemented in one line of code. That's how simple SQL is. And a lot of data scientists require this kind of tool because querying even your complicated math and even complicated things from your database becomes very easy when you make use of SQL languages. It becomes extremely easy to even do the complex things. Now, I just did this in one line. So now let's try something else. Let's write a query to list the employees whose salary is less than a particular number. Okay, let's say less than $3,500. So let's write a query basically for employees whose salary is less than 3,000 or 3,500, where salary annual is less than, let's say, 3,500. So let's run this line of code. All right, so we have a couple of people whose salary is less than 3,000. So we have 2,756, like maximum of these people have 2,756. Okay, so basically this is a list of employees whose annual salary is less than $3,000. That's also quite simple to do. It's just one line of code. Now let's try something else. We'll write a query to list the names and a particular set of details about an employee who joined before a particular date. Let me write it down for you and then we'll understand what exactly I'm doing. So select. Okay, now we'll define a variable so that we can basically extract a number of columns. Okay, so let me write this down and then I'll tell you what exactly I did here. Name, and let's also get their salary, right? Original hiring date. Then we'll also get the salary from the name of the table, where the hiring date, let's say, was lesser than, I'll give a random number, 0102 2008. Now, what exactly I'm doing here is I'm basically listing out the name of the employee, the hiring date, and the salary of all the employees that have joined before a particular date. Okay, basically before this date. That's what I've done here. Let's run this line of code and let's see if it works. Right. So here we have the name, the hiring date, and the salary of individuals that have joined before a particular date in 2008. So it's as simple as that. Now let's write a query in SQL to list all the employees who joined on a particular date. Okay, let's say we want the details of all the employees who joined on October of 2013 or something like that. For that, again, it starts off with select star from the name of the table. We'll add the where clause along with the hiring date, original hire date, a particular date, let's say 08 2013. Let's run this line of code. So basically, we list down employees that were hired on this particular date. Okay, these are details of all the employees that were hired on the same day. So we have around 6 employees that were hired on the 8th of 2013, some date, right? So guys, that's what you see. SQL is a very easy language. You just have to understand what you're trying to extract. That's all. You just have to know like 5 to 10 basic commands. And these basic commands can do wonders. They can extract and manipulate data in such a way that you can perform proper data analysis, data processing, and so on. Now let's try one last query. Let's write a query to list the employees whose annual salary is within a particular range. For this, again, we have select star from name of the table, employee details, and let's add the where clause. And here we will say salary annual is between is another keyword. So between two numbers. Okay, let's say between $24,000 and let's say 50,000, right? Let's run this line of code. All right. So here you can see that all of these employees have a salary range between 25,000 and 50,000. So 43,201, we have 42,000, we have 44,000, we have 45,000, 48,000 is the maximum salary. All right. So this is basically how you perform querying using SQL.